Kaustubha Das here with the big announcement for Wisdom of the Sages listeners. This August will be ashram month at the Super Soul Farm. Simple ashram living, rising early, morning kirtan, yoga and pranayama, healthy vegan and vegetarian meals, farm seva and being immersed in nature, and then gathering in the evenings for kirtan and readings. Plus, each week we'll have a lead presenter teaching a different facet of the philosophy and lifestyle of Bhakti-yoga. Week number 1 will be the exceptional Bhakti Lata teaching a course called The Beauty of Bhakti, bringing the culture of love and devotion into our lives. Week number 2 is my brother from another mother, Raghunath, teaching Falling in Love with Divinity, the Bhakti-yogi's method for opening the heart. And week number 3 is myself with a course called Following the Path, examining the history and teachings of Bhakti-yoga. You can come for 1, 2, or all 3 weeks, and the pricing is by donation. For more dates and information, go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. Peace.
Live from partially sunny Costa Rica, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Tuesday, study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Me and Mara are down here. 2/3 here of the Wisdom of the Sages crew are down here getting dental tourism done right now. They're going in today. They're going into the jaw today, Kaustubha. They're yanking stuff out and putting an implant in. I'm a mess.
What do you think about when you're on in the dentist chair?
You know what I think about? I think of Lord Krishna, my friend. That's what I do.
Okay.
I think of Lord Krishna.
In what form?
You know what I do? You want to hear what I say? When it gets really painful, I think it can get much worse than this. I do. I'm serious. I was thinking, like, you know how many people have been tortured in this life? Like tortured. And whenever something's horrible going on, I go, it can get much worse than this. This is nothing. And then I think of, if I was ever tortured, this is where my mind goes. Isn't this sad? It always goes to torture. Maybe I was tortured in my last life. I go, okay, if I'm tortured, I'm just going to think of Krishna, and that's how I'm going to do it. That's how I'm going to do it. I think of these warriors from Rajasthan who got tortured sometimes and killed. They're always thinking of Krishna, and that's how they leave their bodies. That's how I want to leave my bodies. So are you kidding? You know what happened to Shiva Chhatrapi's son?
What happened?
I'm not going to even say it. It's too early in the morning to say what happened. But I'm sure he was
okay. So that was like later incarnate. In other words, I was thinking back like in the more Vedic times. I don't think torture was part of the thing.
No, because the Hindus didn't torture. They just killed. Yeah, they killed. It was the colonists that tortured.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, the colonists. So anyway, we're here. I will say that Mara made me the most incredible soup I've ever had yesterday. All I've been eating is fruit and soup every night, same exact thing. It was black bean soup with avocado and mango and cilantro. It was the most delicious thing I've ever had. You were
like, Mara, come over here to get some dental work done. That wasn't what you did.
While you're at it, cut me a mango.
Yeah. Pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. But, okay. We get like a window of sun in the morning.
Now we have to move on from your
dietary
habits.
Having some happy banter, man.
Every day
I thought we were friends. I thought we could talk like this.
Your dental pain, your dietary habits, how sunny it is or is not. Okay, we got it.
All right. Okay, Mr. Business.
That's right.
Let's go to work.
Now we move over to the announcements. Marriage.
Mara announced today.
All right, we got.
What's for lunch?
You just knocked over the microphone cable.
Yeah, we're back. We're back.
Okay. We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings today. The men meet at 11 and the women meet at 2 p.m. If you want to sign up for Italy or 4th of July, there's still some space available if you go to wisdomofthesages.com.
4th of July is almost here. We got to.
Yeah.
Now's the time. Yeah.
All right.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Are you ready for some nuggets, sir?
Yeah, I've divided nuggets up for this week, Raghunath, into different categories because there's so much to be said about gratitude. So, like, I grabbed a whole bunch of different gratitude quotes, and then I saw, they fit in different categories. Like some speak about, like what it says about someone's character,
right?
Their gratitude. Some speak about seeing how special even otherwise ordinary things are. Being grateful for the ordinary things in life, which are actually very special, if you think about it. Right?
Yeah.
Some have to do with the state of consciousness of gratitude itself and how it's a higher state of consciousness.
Yeah.
And some have to do with how gratitude itself makes life better. And today it's more just like life advice about gratitude.
Okay.
Right?
Me like you that.
So we hear from 4 people today.
Okay. So I'm going to skip that first message and go right to the quotes. And the first one is from our good friend, hailing from China, Confucius. He was from China. Right?
Known for his wisdom. Yes, he was from
No,
China.
known for his wisdom. Sometimes confused with the Buddha. Have you ever noticed that?
Is he?
Well, everyone thinks like the Buddha was heavy set.
Okay.
He wasn't. He was a renunciate.
Continue on.
Well, there's different Buddhists. There's different Buddhists. That's the thing.
Okay. You're saying there were some heavy set Buddhas?
Sure, why not?
What do you mean? Because they were ascetics, I thought.
So
anyway, I can't even imagine Confucius. It seems like Confucius would be an ascetic as well, but he's not portrayed that way.
There's
Anyway.
some heavy set ascetics. You've seen them before.
Yeah, nice, good point. Okay. Confucius says, forget injuries. Never forget kindness. Forget injuries.
Forget it. We tend to dwell
Let
on
them
those.
go.
Right?
Well, yeah, I dwell on my injury. Here's what went wrong. Here's how I was harmed. Here's what happened to me.
Mhm.
Let me share with you my story of woe. But
So
never
he's saying, toss that stuff out. That's not what the mind's meant to grip on. Where's the mind meant to grip onto?
Yeah, this is a good one for parents, right? It's
Okay.
like sometimes like our parents have done so much for us. They're wiping our butt. They're carrying us around. Any parent knows you carry that baby around, you should get some type of gold medal for that. Carrying a crying baby around. There should be a putting the baby in the car seat medal that a parent gets every time they do that. After 2 years of doing that, like losing your mind and picking them up. And then how about the driving to soccer award a parent should get, right? You do selfless labor. I don't want to hear anything about being a brahmachari. It's nothing compared to what parents have to go through. And then the parent does one thing wrong and the kid will just remember that. Yeah, how about the time you said that was useless? I'm going to run with that forever.
This is starting to sound like your story of woe.
Yes. A kid, it's like, forget the injuries, never forget the kindness. And we do the opposite.
We do the opposite. And it's not, and going back to yesterday's, it's not going to make us happy. Do you want to be happy or not?
No,
right?
we want.
Where's your mind going to dwell?
And that's the thing. That's the trick with this whole thing. My bitterness, my resentment, my anger, all those things I'm putting in my treasure chest of hate makes me miserable. I'm carrying that treasure chest around. That miserable treasure chest of resentment. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Next one.
You thought Confucius was smart? Listen to John E. Southard.
Okay. I couldn't figure out who he is. I like the quote. I was Googling him left and right. But he had a good quote. I'll say that.
Maybe he's just going to go down for a good quote in this life.
Let's hear it.
The only people with whom you should try to get even are those who have helped you. Aw, John E. Southard. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You want to get even with somebody? That's a big thing with a lot of people's consciousness. I'm going to get even. I'm going to show him. I'm going to remember this forever. Did I ever tell you about the time?
I don't know. What happened?
I got in a fight with a guy when I was in high school, and he was much bigger than me.
Okay,
Well, he came after me, and I punched him really quick, and I got him in a headlock, and he couldn't get me. It was a big guy. I can't believe I'm telling this story. And then I held him in a headlock really tight, and then it was broken up by the principals. And I looked up. He's a massive guy. I was like a 10th grader. He was a senior, and his face was covered. I'm sorry, I'm telling the story, but I broke his nose. I broke his nose, but he looked at me and he goes, I'm going to come get you. I'm going to get you one day when you're not ready for it. I'm going to get you. That's
where the fight usually ends.
I know. And he came and got me.
Hell no.
He came and got me.
Did he torture you?
No, but he came back like 3 years later.
3 years
3
later.
years later. I didn't
means
see
he
him
was, like,
since then.
in
He had
college.
graduated. It was a whole weird, crazy suburban nightmare. And they came back and got me.
No.
Yeah, it was horrible.
So don't be like that guy. What was his name, Raghunath?
I'm not going to tell you. You might be listening to the show.
All right. So the only people with whom you should try to get even are those who have helped you. Very
my
good
point
life
is,
advice.
I didn't mean to turn that into a squirrel turbo scenario. My thing is that it's a real thing. Revenge and spite. I want to get back. It's a very real thing that people, and we got to let go of those things. We've got to let go of this desire, like, I'm going to get even. Don't get even unless they've really helped you. I want to get even with you, my friend. Because Kaustubha used to read me Krishna book when I was a little boy. When we were brahmacharis. He would say, come here, Raghunath. And I'm going off into my squirrel land mind. And he's like, let's read Krishna book together. I was like, okay, Prabhu.
Now you're the sweet baby Krishna guy.
Yeah.
See that?
So I want to get even with you and read you Krishna book.
Okay, you can do that.
Okay.
Next.
No more spite. When it comes to life, this is from G.K. Chesterton.
Old G.K. Chesterton. He's known as the Prince of Paradox, Raghunath.
Is he?
Yeah, I thought you'd like that name, right?
The Prince of Paradox?
Yeah.
All right. When it comes to life, the critical thing is whether you take things for granted or take them with gratitude. Let me read that again.
The critical thing in life.
When it comes to the critical thing in life is whether you take things for granted or take them with gratitude.
Yeah. And that plays.
So this is the big appreciation.
Vedic conception thing, right? Like
This
in
is
other words,
go.
I was gonna say, you go to the Vedas. It's like a lot of Bhagavatam is taking us beyond the Vedic conception. But the Vedic conception is that first step forward into being like a human being, right? Where I don't take everything for granted. I don't take the sun and its warmth for granted. I don't take the rain for granted. I don't take, the earth and the rivers and all that. I don't take it for granted. I take them with gratitude. And the rituals and the offerings and all that is meant to cultivate a sense of gratitude, right? Because that's reality, right? Reality is so much is being provided for me. And so it's kind of like a culture of ritual that's meant to instill a sense of gratitude.
It's everything we do, actually. There's this verse in Guru Vastakam, Dayan Stuvams Tasya Yasya Tri Sandyam. At the 3 Sandyams, at the 3 times of day, the morning and the noon and the evening, we should remember the Guru, right? We have some, and why are we remembering him? Because we're remembering that, the Guru spoon-fed me bhakti. The teachers in my life have spoon-fed me bhakti. They've tolerated my nonsense. They've just accepted me. They've encouraged me. They gave me as much as I wouldn't spit out. And they've brought me to this next stage in my spiritual life. So the concept of meditation on the teachers is super important in our tradition, a lot of spiritual traditions, and just in life in general. Meditate on the people who have done you right and have helped you along. And then, of course, we do the same thing with Krishna. We appreciate, Krishna, when this happened, Krishna, you took that away from me and it opened this door. I lost my job, but it gave me this new opportunity. I got my heart broken, but gave me this new freedom. I had this, right? So that is a huge thing, this appreciation for everything I've had. It's a game changer. It's a new way to live life. And it's a massive part of everything that we do, right down to the rituals, right? The rituals are all supposed to be saturated with appreciation as we're doing our pujas or our worship. What to speak of are just our day-to-day life. We're eating prasad. This food was manifested by God. It was, picked with love, prepared with love, offered with love. And now I want to eat it with love.
There you go.
Instead of the concept of like just fast food, shove it in my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the way that you brought up this tree sundium, right? It's like, in other words, in order to cultivate gratitude, we have to regulate it, right? It's like, let's see, regulate, I sit down and be grateful right now in the morning, sit down and be grateful at noon, sit down and be grateful in the evening. We're going to make sure that we cultivate these thoughts so that they become natural to us and spontaneous to us.
That's like the Brahmanas do the Gayatri mantra, right? And they do it at the 3 times of day, the Sandhya in the morning, the Sandhya, which is at noon, and the Sandhya as the sun is setting. So it's when the sun is rising, when the sun is at high noon, when the sun is setting. And I love that concept of scheduled gratitude. I never thought of it like that, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's the idea of like, I'll go to church on Sunday, and that is a schedule. It's once a week, you know, especially like in these Latin American countries, like the whole place is shut down on Sunday, except for football. Otherwise, everything is closed. But it's like the schedule is just not every day. It's many times a day, every day.
That's right.
Because we tend to forget. We tend to shift back into our lazy ingratitude, entitlement. Next week's entitlement week.
Well, we got a good one about entitlement coming up too.
Oh yeah,
I think that's in the character one.
Tell me.
Oh, we'll save it for the character day.
Okay. All right. So this is the next one, last one, and this is from my good friend Epictetus.
Old Epictetus.
Epictetus.
Greek week.
Epictetus, maybe. Epictetus.
Tatus, I think, right? T-E.
Epictetus. Okay. He is a wise man who knows how to say my name in English. Okay. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has.
There you go. It's all
read
flip,
that again.
Same kind of attitude flip.
He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not. I want this, I want that, but rejoices for those which he has. I have so much. I am so blessed. I'm so fortunate. Look what I have. What is it with the Greeks? Were they all wise? Wasn't there some entitled, you know, horrible Greek guys out there? Were they all just like walking around, you know, walking encyclopedias? There must have been some criminal Greeks out there.
Maybe. All right, Raghunath. So each one was a flippant attitude, you know, forget your injuries. Remember the kindnesses, right? Flip it. You can dwell on one thing. No, choose to dwell on the other. What was the other one? Who are you going to get even with? The people that have harmed you in some way? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to get even with the people that have helped me. Okay. You know, I'm either going to take things for granted, or I'm going to take them with gratitude. And here he says, you don't grieve for the things which you don't have. You rejoice for the things that you have. This is the attitude of a yogi, right? And it's not just like some feel-good kind of thing. It's some artificial, like Prabhupada called it, artificial imposition on the mind, right?
Right.
But it's bringing us towards reality, actually.
Like
reality.
Prabhupada would call it an artificial imposition. All right, let's falsely, like an artificial way, be grateful for this thing that happened. No, it's actually reality. Reality is like life is happening for me, for my benefit. There's a benevolent higher power, and I just have crooked thinking.
I done stupid things that come back at me in painful ways, but why should I dwell on that? That's my own fault.
It's my own fault. Stop blaming the world for all my shortcomings. I need to hear this every day.
Every day.
I need to hear this every day because my default is entitlement, a little bit of arrogance, a little bit obtuse. I get it. We hear this stuff every day.
All right. All right, that's the nuggets for today. We got more coming tomorrow. Or we might have a walk on Wednesday tomorrow. Let's see.
You are the nugget man. Okay.
Ready?
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtati. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 21, Text 41.
It's interesting how you can tell, like, gratitude is something that we have cultivated from previous lifetimes, because there's people just born a little bit more grateful, and there's people just born a little bit more bitter, a little bit more entitled. And wherever you're at, we just got to cultivate the spiritual attitude
of gratitude.
Okay.
All right, Raghunath. So we're on text 41 over here.
Yep.
We got Prithu speaking to the people. He's speaking about gratitude for the great souls, for the Brahmanas, for the wise people, for the Vaishnavas, how they should be honored.
You ready?
Yeah.
Text 41. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ananta, eats through the fire sacrifices offered in the names of the different demigods, he does not take as much pleasure in eating through fire as he does in accepted offering through the mouths of the learned sages and devotees. For then he does not leave the association of devotees. So the idea is that when we build these fire yagyas, or these, you see these beautiful, what kind of wood do they use in the fire yagyas?
RNE.
RNE?
Traditionally. I mean, they use whatever you can get, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. And then they build the fire. They call Lord Vishnu into the fire. It's understood all the demigods are present, and they feed the fire with ghee and grains. And that's like making an offering. But he's saying, I don't even take that much pleasure in this.
And ritually, through prayer and through ritual, you establish that fire as the mouth of Lord Vishnu, right? We're going to offer you something, right? So
we're going to feed Lord
grains,
Vishnu.
Ghee, yeah.
It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Like fire is some sort of like portal to another dimension. Don't you find that interesting?
Yes, I do, Raghunath. Just don't jump into one, please.
It's
a portal to an...
It's a portal to another dimension. I'm going in. Yeah.
But here, just like what we were just talking about, like we, like in our culture, Hare Krishna movement culture, we see this, like over the course of a year, you and I will attend a number of these rituals, right? Where they light the fire.
Fire yagyas.
Yeah.
Agnihotras.
But traditionally, like the Brahmanas, they would do it every day.
Yeah.
Like in their home, they would do this every day, right? It's part of the ritual. And again, it's a way of cultivating gratitude. It's a way of instilling a sense of reality that's infused with gratitude. So then you carry that with you, not just while you're doing the ritual, but that you carry with you at all times. But now here, what we see, this is where Bhagavatam it's taking that Vedic conception and say, take it further now, go further, right? Because it's not just, because a lot of that, I'm expressing gratitude, I may be doing it like I express the gratitude, so I get something for it, right? I get the things of this world, which the Vedic ritual is pointing us at. Here it's saying that, you know what, yes, it is true, ritualistically, the Vedas teach us that God accepts offerings through the ritual fire. Okay, they're accepted. It's real. It's a authentic. It's an authentic ritual. But what this verse is saying is Bhagavatam's taking you to that. It's really trying to say mature your understanding and your relationship with God and your relationship with reality, and understand what actually pleases God more. It's something deeper and more substantial. It's not just that you perform the ritual and say thank you, but when you see God in other people, right? When you recognize God shining through other people and honor those people, it's actually much more mature. It's a deeper spiritual maturity. And so this verse is saying he does not take as much pleasure in eating through the fire as he does in accepting offerings through the mouths of the learned sages and devotees. Right? In other words, you can please him through doing your ritual, but if you recognize God in other people, that's far more pleasing.
I'm sorry, I was taking my medicine.
Oh.
I had to eat a piece of banana with it. My mouth is killing me right now.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I like that point.
Yeah, but Bhagavatam, it's going to be real clear. But if we go back, and we've quoted this verse many times, but there's that verse, Archyam eva hariye pujam ye shradhayate, in the 11th canto, that a person who engages in the worship of the deity in the temple, right? They're into the ritual thing, but does not behave properly towards other devotees or even to people in general, is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position, right? It's just a very beginner kind of spiritual approach.
Right.
One has to grow from it. So Bhagavatam's taking us deeper. Here it's coming through the mouth of Prithu, who's telling the people in general that, these fire sacrifices, they're good, it's authentic, it's real, but there's something deeper and more substantial that we should be trying to understand in life. That's seeing God in other people.
Beautiful statement that sort of like the beautiful point you made. This prakrita bhakta. We have our devotion to God. It doesn't have to be just towards the deities. It could be in any religion. You go to church. You have this. You're proclaiming this great devotion, this love of God. Have you?
Me and God.
The love of God, but I can't stand my boss, or I can't stand my spouse, or I can't stand my teenage son, or I can't stand my whatever. You go on and on with all the people that you hate, and then you feel like, oh, but me and God. I just want to run away and live in a cave and connect with God because everybody else is all Maya. They don't get my spirituality.
God's like, I love all the people that you hate, by the way.
Yeah, all those people that you hate. I sent them to you so you can learn how to adjust. Yeah. All right, let's go on with this.
Okay.
42. The Brahminical culture of a Brahmana's transcendental position is eternally maintained because the injunctions of the Vedas are accepted with faith, austerity, scriptural conclusions, full sense and mind control, and meditation. In this way, the real goal of life is illuminated. How beautiful. Just as one's face is fully reflected in a clear mirror.
Okay. Very interesting, right? The Vedas are compared to a mirror here because they reveal everything about the world. Right? Or you could say they reveal about yourself too. Like you look in a mirror and you understand you understand something about yourself, right? So the Vedas are the mirror that reveal everything about ourselves. So you could say they reveal everything about the world that we live in. But most of our mirrors are kind of like corroded over, with thick layers of dust.
Yeah.
So how does that dust? How do you clear that dust? Let's say, how do you keep the mirror clean?
Faith, austerity, scriptural conclusions, sense control of the mind, meditation. Yeah.
Shraddha, faith.
There's that beautiful verse in the Gita too. For the doubting soul, for the what is it? For the faithless soul, there's not pleasure in this life or the next.
Neither happiness in this life.
There's neither happiness, even if you want happiness. You have to approach the Vedas with a deep type of faith. Now, of course, we say reasonable faith. There's a reason why we're listening to the show on a regular basis. Somebody turned us on to it, and we've applied some of the information to our life, and we found like, wow, this stuff actually works. And it could be any different facet of the bhakti practice. But we're like, yeah, I'm going to listen again. I'm going to apply a little bit more. And the more I apply, the more I hear, it sort of resonates with some deeper inner truth that I have. I want to try this more. So our faith is building in small increments. And after a while, we are accepting, you know what? I trust this Vedic paradigm of reality, and we move forward. So we have to approach it like that. And then it starts to reveal itself. The real goal of life is illuminated. That's just as one's face is fully reflected in a clear mirror.
So that's what we want, right? We want that clarity. And then
the
yoga practices are there to grant us that clarity. Here, Prithu, when he's speaking about the Brahman, right? Again, there's all this stuff that's potentially triggering, right? That we have a king up here. He's talking to all the people and he's saying, we need to honor this group of people, right?
I'm triggered by that.
I'm just, hold it. Why are we honoring anyone?
We're not gonna, why are we
they can exploit us.
Why are we offering respect to anybody?
Yeah, well, but once you start to, grant some special status to a certain group of people, but he's saying that status is something that any one of us could have, but let's see where and every one of us does have to some degree, but let's see who most deeply imbibes it. And if we can frame that, right? If we can focus in on that and hear from these people and honor, what it's going to do is it's going to bring more of that out in ourselves, right? And so he's saying it's not based by birth here. Don't get that misconception. He's saying, look at how it comes to them. They don't have this just by virtue of the family that they're born in. They have it by virtue of their faith, the depth of their faith. That manifests, like a person that's got deep faith, it manifests in how they live, like the simplicity with which they live, right? A person that has deep faith thinks like, I can be happy simply. I don't need to be, striving for too much. That faith is something tangible, right? It manifests in their lifestyle, and they're austere. right? They practice austerity. They're refraining from a lot of the things that others indulge in. To them, they can leave it behind, right?
It's so interesting. To understand this practice, you can't just say, okay, I want to learn this practice now too. No, there's personal qualifications you have to understand it. Sure. And one is mind control. You have to learn how to control your own mind. One is sense control.
And control the mind of others.
Control. Yes. So you can learn how to control others' minds. No, one is your own sense control. Yeah. You can't get it unless you control your senses.
Right.
And so you can't just barge into bhakti and say, okay, I'm going to figure this stuff out. Okay, I figured out medicine. I figured out woodworking. I figured out. Now I'm going to figure out your bhakti thing. Okay, here's the prerequisites. Control your tongue, belly, and your genitals. Then act in a sweet, submissive way to senior devotees who can distribute knowledge to you. It's like, who wants to jump through those hoops?
Practice austerity. Yeah.
Practice austerity. Bow down.
Silence. What about that one?
Silence. Stop your blah, blah, blahing all the time.
So these are the Brahminical These are some of the Brahminical qualifications that's being mentioned here. Qualifications, practices that are being mentioned here. Of course, there's the famous Gita verse, which we go back to all the time, right? Samodama tapasaucham.
Samadama tapasaucham.
I wonder if Karuna knows that one. 1842, Karuna? Do you know that one? Yes? No? No. She's like, oh, not yet. She doesn't know that one. Okay. So that it describes all the qualities of the Brahmana: peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, dharma. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Okay. You start to develop those qualities. Truth becomes more clear to you, right? You get clear vision. All the kind of things.
Did you read that message from Chadaratma yesterday?
Yeah.
He said, hey, is it so black and white, you guys? Chadaratma is our senior, but he was saying, he's like, I do all the pujas, I do all the yagas, I've been worshiping my deity for years, I marry people, I do, right?
Yeah.
He goes, but I have to have a side hustle to make a living because I can't live off all those things. Are you saying I'm we don't live in a Vedic culture. So his question was, are you saying I'm a Sudra and not a Brahmin because I work for somebody else? He has a side job.
Yeah. So Chadaratma Prabhu, he's beyond a Brahmin. He's Vaishnava.
That's what I said.
Yeah. But what we were talking about was the Vedic culture and how it worked. But we don't live in a Vedic culture.
No, we don't.
Unfortunately, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
43.
Text 44.
43.
Text 43. Okay. Oh, respectable personalities present here, I beg the blessings of all of you that I may perpetually carry on my crown, the dust of the lotus feet of such Brahmanas and Vaishnavas until the end of my life. What a great statement. He who can carry such dust on his head is very soon relieved of all the reactions which arise from sinful life. We don't like that word. And eventually he develops all good and desirable qualities. Again, we say sinful. We're pulling that word out because in a Christian context, it means that I'm doing something which God is going to punish me for, whereas actually it's where there's laws of nature set up that we choose to break, and we're punishing ourselves. Like, I can't blame God if I stick a fork in an electric socket. I'm not supposed to do that. I can only blame myself for that. And I can't blame electricity for it either. I just shouldn't do that. So there's certain laws that I do. But we were using this Christian concept of a translation here. But it makes God out to seem like the warden or the sheriff, and God's not. God is sweet baby Krishna.
Okay.
But this is a great verse, isn't it? It's poetic, sort of poetic, but also literal. Yeah. I beg the blessings of all of you that I may perpetually carry on my crown the dust of the lotus feet of such Brahmins and Vaishnavas.
And it's a verse that's really showing the because remember, let's zoom out a little bit and look at the context. Prithu was the king that was reestablished, that was, by the sages after King Vena, who was the exact opposite, right? So
Yep.
here we before you had a king that was a total tyrant and totally arrogant. Here we have the king that has clarity of vision, and it's manifesting his own humility.
Okay, text 44. No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Whoever acquires the Brahminical qualifications, whose only wealth is good behavior. Like, what's your wealth? I got some gold. I got an IRA. I've got some retirement fund. I got some stocks. No. Whoever acquires the Brahminical qualification, whose only wealth is good behavior, who is grateful, and who takes shelter of experienced persons, gets all the opulences in the world.
There's the gratitude right there.
I therefore wish that the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his associates be pleased with the Brahmin class, with the cows, and with me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Only wealth is good behavior. Let that be my wealth, right?
Let my wealth.
It's a wealth that's available to anyone. Right. I may or may not. I may strive. I may be intelligent. I may be hardworking, and I may apply myself and still never become wealthy, like materially, right?
Right.
But the wealth of good behavior is available to every living being, and it's the greatest wealth, you know.
Yeah. Well, I always say that with my kids as a father. You know, you really want your kids to grow up to be good people. You know, no matter what they do, no matter what career they have,
right.
No matter what university they graduated and what degrees they have. I mean, I always say I'd rather my kid be as dumb as stone and just have good character.
There you go.
You know, it's hard because you find people with all those all the accolades of material existence, but they have lousy character. Who cares?
Yep.
It's the goal of it. If we're not teaching good character in school, what are you teaching them? Just a bunch of what am I looking for?
Techniques.
Yeah, technique. Just technique. Oh, this is how you, right? This is how you do this. This is how you do that. We don't care about technique. We care about character. The technique comes second after the character. That's what we need our teachers to educate our kids in.
Character comes first.
I want to raise my kids all at home.
All right. Well, you should have thought of that a while ago.
Should have thought of that years ago. Do over.
You did to some degree, right?
They're in public school. I did a lot, but you know, they're in public school right now, and I'm feeling like
you gave them such a solid base, though.
Mara said I gave them a solid base. But yeah. You know, anyway, look at you, Kaustubha. You went to public school. You turned out pretty damn good.
No, I don't know, Raghunath. I got some character flaws.
The last thing my public school education taught me was character.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the last thing it taught me. I had to undo all of that when I moved into the ashram.
Okay, right.
All right, let's go.
45?
45. The great sage Maitreya said.
Okay, we're going back up.
Oh, yeah.
Sage level 3.
Sage level 3. The great sage Maitreya said, after hearing King Prithu speak so nicely, all the demigods, the denizens of Pitri-loka. A denizen means a resident. Of Pitri-loka. Pitri-loka is the planet of the forefathers. The Brahmanas and the saintly persons present at that meeting congratulated him by expressing their goodwill. They all declared that the Vedic conclusion that one can conquer the heavenly planets by their action of a putra or a son was fulfilled for the most sinful Vena, who had been killed by the curse of the Brahmanas and was now delivered from the darkest region of hellish life by his son Maharaj Prithu. So there's this concept of, I actually love this concept that what we are doing in this lifetime, and we get this, right? Like, for example, if I act in a very wonderful way in this lifetime, it's going to have a wonderful effect on my children. If I'm a murderer, that's going to affect my children, isn't it? If I go to prison for murder, that's going to affect my children. Or imagine if you said, my great grandfather, he was a murderer. Like that karmic action, that's going to affect the descendants. But not only that, it affects your people above you. So this Vedic concept of your actions in this lifetime are affecting your father, your grandfather. It goes back the other way too. It affects people that have been deceased. So here it is. He was saying, by your activities, Prithu, you're affecting Venu, who was your
Vena, yeah.
Vena, rather. Venu. Venu was a flute. Vena. Imagine getting initiated, getting the name Vena. I meant Venu. Okay.
Yeah, so
Vena was his father or grandfather.
Well, he was kind of churned from the body of Vena, so you could say his father.
sort of like a
some kind of DNA.
What do you call that?
Kind of thing.
Cloning. It was like cloned from.
So you have, here it's interesting, right? Because these are the denizens of Pitriloka. When we say that's the planet of the forefathers, what it means is that it's a planet that some forefathers, it's an elevated planetary, place, right? Arrangement, platform.
It's not heaven. It's not. I mean, it's not the spiritual world.
Right? Yeah, it's not the spiritual world.
It's not the spiritual world, but it's like it's like a cool hangout purgatory.
It's a place that's achieved through really good karma.
You're right.
And so those residents, these forefathers, in one sense, to be there, I suppose you kind of become an authority on like lineage and how, so they're speaking here about, and they're saying something significant. Vena was absolutely terrible, horrific person, right?
Yeah.
But he had this son who was so exalted that Vena himself conquered the heavenly planets, meaning he achieved them through the goodness of his son. Right. It seems to be, they're indicating that the relationship between the father and the son is so significant that if you can father such a bright light in the world, that you benefit from it. Right. Karmically, you benefit from it. And Prithu is such a bright light that even Vena, his condition was turned around.
A message of hope. If you've had a horrible father out there, you may become that bright light, and your bright light can actually assist if you had a father that was a big problem to the world, you being that bright light by opting into your spiritual life, that can change their destiny. Some of us may feel like, well, screw him, he screwed me. No. In spiritual life, we don't think like that. We think I change, and then there's going to be a ripple effect of beautiful change around me, going up and going down. So some of us had great fathers, some of us had horrible fathers. Either way, our step towards spiritual life makes everything all auspicious. Kaustubha.
Okay. Thank you, Raghunath.
Similarly, right, there's also similar case here. Hiranyakashipu, who by dint of his sinful activities, right?
Yeah.
Always defied the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he entered into the darkest region of hellish life. But by the grace of his son, Prahlad Maharaj, he also was delivered and went back home to Godhead. So this is just exactly what we were saying. Here is a family, not just like a demonic father, but like sort of like Hiranyakashipu is like, well, it's actually, who's his father? He was born in a demon race, meaning ancestors of troublemakers, right? A family lineage of troublemakers, but there was Prahlad, and he was a saint. And how he became a saint? Hey, he heard sacred wisdom. Just like everybody here listening, you're hearing sacred truth, and it changes us. And then because of that, it affected Hiranyakashipu. His desire to serve Lord Vishnu affected his father, and he delivered his father by his activities. Kashyapa was, Aditi. Yeah, he was thank you, Mara, giving her wisdom. She was Google G. Diti was the father of Hiranyakashipu. Diti was the mother. Kashyapa and Diti. Continuing on, 48. All the saintly Brahmanas thus addressed Prithu Maharaj, O best of the warriors, O father of this globe, may you be blessed with a long life. For you have great devotion to the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the master of all of the universe. Isn't that funny? Master of the universe. Isn't that like a cartoon? Okay. Masters of the universe. The audience continued. Dear King Prithu, your reputation is the purest of all, for you are preaching the glories of the most glorified of all, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the Brahmanas. Since, due to our great fortune, we have you as our master, we think that we are living directly under the agency of the Lord. See, we don't like this anymore. This type of thing is not popular in public conversation. We don't want to have a master. Want to talk about that? Because you talked a little bit about it yesterday.
Well, I mean, I think the word is a difficult word because we associate it with slavery.
Yeah.
Right. So the master is the horrible oppressor and tormentor.
Right.
But there's another way to think of master as someone that's mastered something, right?
Ooh. Very good. I like that.
Like when we go to the Kung Fu film, it's like, oh, master. It's like
master.
Yeah, it's saying you've mastered something. I suppose we think of it as like they're mastering the other person, like they're controlling the other person. But a master can be someone that's mastered something. So they're saying we have you as our master. You're the only one that could be doing what you're doing. That could be ruling like this. That could be establishing Dharma the way that you said. That could be protecting all the citizens. You're a master. No, let's go ahead and say it. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And there's just, I guess we could just say we got this artificial idea. The stories that we feed ourselves, I think, is so much of our problem. And we fed ourselves so many stories where we've glorified the idea of, I suppose, independence, right? Or, rugged individualism and all of that. What we consider to be the hero. And so, we've become controlled by that. And so, you become adverse to such a simple concept like, yeah, you benefit when you're like, well, how did they phrase it here? When you live directly under the agency, right, of such a master, right? When you're connected to someone who's got their act together, you benefit from. You show gratitude.
With any skill, there's the master and the apprentice.
Yeah.
You want to learn metalworking, you go to the master. You want to learn heating and cooling or carpentry, you go to a master and you become their apprentice.
Yeah. And to the extent that you can deeply appreciate them and actually honor them, and that's why there's like ritualistically, there's etiquette, of honoring one, that's followed. There's value in it, there's value. If the person is qualified, it's so valuable. I mean, you see that even like, like you take something like athletics, sometimes in athletics, you see like there's, a guy with a lot of talent, but his attitude, he's got no appreciation. He thinks it's all about themselves. And they may even excel, but they're not really happy and they don't become better people. They don't, whereas there's other people that like, they fall into a relationship with like a mentor. Sometimes it happens in coaching and stuff like that,
Yeah.
It's kind of maybe a natural place for like a mentorship to take place. You have someone there that not only knows more about the subject, is more experienced in the subject, and is going to show you that step by step, how to work as a team, the importance of it, et cetera, and all that. But ideally someone that also possesses a higher level of character. And they have these guys like John Wooden. John Wooden?
No, I don't.
He was like
tell me about him.
He was the basketball coach at UCLA for like, for
I hate basketball.
Well, you don't have to hate it, Raghunath. There's beauty.
Hate's a powerful word, Raghunath. I don't like it. First of all, you know what? It's a privileged sport. It's a sport for the privileged. You know why? And the privilege is tall people. Tall people. They should have a whole separate league for short people.
Well, pretty
Not
much
fair.
Almost any sport is going to privilege someone in some way.
I know.
But okay, so in case you have guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like
tall,
very tall, but also
tall are key. The tall are key.
You try to get past that hang up that you got, Raghunath, and understand Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, kind of a deep guy, and then he connects with a coach like John Wooden, who's kind of a deep guy, but older and more experienced, and then you get the beautiful relationships like that, We should seek out those relationships, Like I got to see Radha Swami yesterday, What a joy,
He's the Bhakti master, the living Bhakti master, Radha Swami.
The value that he's invested in my own life, through his words and through his example, the kindness that he's shown me, the mastery that I see that he has over his own mind and senses, self-control, through his dedication, through his constant self-sacrifice. Yeah, I'll bow down. Right? I'm
Bow
happy
down.
to. Yeah,
Right.
I'm happy to say, you're the master, I'm the student. I want to serve you just out of my own love for you. And also that I'll become transformed through that. And when I am transformed, if and when I am transformed, I want to use it in your service. I'll dedicate it to your to honor you.
A beautiful thing, which ties into a lot what we were talking about the last couple of days, is we are not, and what we said this morning about how the goal of education is character, not just learning a skill or becoming a master at a skill. When we take on a quote master, it helps if the master has good character, because we want to learn things, but that's the whole thing. If the educator has bad character, not only are you imbibing the skill, you're imbibing their character. And so that's why character is the foundation of all of everything that we teach, everything that we have to teach, because you're passing that on as well.
Character first.
Careful who your teachers are, because you're taking it all in.
There you go.
Huh?
I'm down with that, brother.
Huh? Okay.
It's time for the.
I think it's time for some takeaways. Some tropical takeaways.
All right. My treasure chest of bitterness, resentment, and hate makes me miserable.
Okay.
Uplifting note to
Thank
start
you.
off.
Good night, nurse.
Get even with those who have been kind.
Get even with those. I'm going to teach that person. I'm going to get them. I'm going to kind them right back.
Big time.
Do I take it for granted or with gratitude?
Do I take it with granted?
Okay. Everybody's writing on the board about Muggsy Bogus.
Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy Bogues. He was 5'3".
Raghunath, focus on the takeaways. That's where our minds should be now.
This is my chance to read the board.
Right.
All right.
Meditate and appreciate those who have helped you along.
There you go.
A little boring, but yes. I'm just thinking about sales, like t-shirts. We need t-shirts.
We understand you like t-shirts, Raghunath.
All right, here's your t-shirt, Raghu. Cultivate an attitude of gratitude.
There you go.
Been there, done that. That's like an old saying.
Okay.
But it's good. It's important.
Talk about ingratitude.
No, right? In order to cultivate gratitude, we need to regulate it.
Okay. Yeah.
Not a shirt, but good
Good
truth
advice.
there. Good
The
advice.
Vedas are our mirror.
Mm-hmm. They reflect.
Mirror is a hard word to say. Mirror.
Mirror.
Let good behavior be my wealth.
Let good behavior be my wealth. I like that one.
Me too.
Weird shirt, wearing that around. Like good behavior.
Next.
Right?
You're Raghunath, you're just like grumpy. What's going on? Like,
No,
go
I'm
get your
not.
teeth
I'm just
fixed.
thinking. I'm
Okay, like,
forward thinking, man.
Character comes first.
Character
That's a
comes
t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt. That's
That could be a t-shirt.
a mug.
Yep.
Is that the last one?
Nope. Careful who our teachers are.
Yeah.
Yes. Careful who your teachers are.
Our move towards spiritual life is all auspicious.
Sure.
Yeah, I like that.
And appreciate and honor the masters.
Oh, there you
Appreciate
go.
and
The
honor
masters.
The master. Oh, thank you, master.
Did you ever see that film, Kill Bill, Raghunath?
No, I don't watch movies, Kaustubha.
Okay.
I actually didn't.
Liar.
I just don't see a lot of movies. And if I do see them, I fall asleep. You know my story.
Okay. Well, there they had the Kung Fu master. He was like really strict, like really strict. But
seen
she won
Kung
him
Fu,
over
the TV show.
with her dedication, But he did remind me a little bit of someone.
Who? Kung Fu.
Well, Krishna Goswami.
Oh, Kung Fu. Okay. Yeah, sometimes the master is tough. Part of the master's job is to break the ego. But if it's not done with appropriate motivation, it's just cruel. You can get chastised with love. Like anger is something that we can call upon and sharpness to cut the student's ego. But we shouldn't let the anger be just a reaction where it's controlling us and then therefore, and I just blurt out anger to other people. That's the idea with anger, I think. Okay. Anyway, thank you.
It's the last nugget from Raghunath.
Last little wisdom dribble.
Okay.
Wisdom nugget dribble. Thanks everybody for joining us here. My mouth got into so much pain halfway through. I sent Mare away to get me a banana and a pain reliever. But thanks for everybody for joining us. Tomorrow is Wednesday.
Raghunath, learn to master the pain. All right.
I am. I'm
Don't
thinking.
just do drugs.
You know what my mantra is? It can get much worse than this, Raghunath. Are you kidding?
Then begin the torture meditation.
Then begins my torture meditation. Do you know what they did to Shiv Chhatrapati's son? Google it. Google that. Hare Krishna.
They say that you're working on the beard is you're working on the Kung Fu master beard, Raghunath.
I'm working on the Duck Dynasty beard. Now I'm working on the Swami Satchidananda beard. The long one that comes down. It makes me wiser. Makes me wiser, I think. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Check out wisdomofthesages.com. Check out the Sage Academy page because we got things going on, including our 4th of July wingding. You know who's coming? Who? Ashley O'Hara from Pittsburgh. My good friend Ashley O'Hara and Henderson and their cute little baby Mila. I'm looking forward to that. Last time we saw her was at Roddy Rachel's wedding. So I'm looking forward to the reconnection with Ashley. I got Kirtan school coming up, and we got what else we got going on? Oh, Bobby's Yin thing this weekend. I'm going to be back just in time to hang out with Bobby Marchand, Parsana Leela.
But 4th of July, that's the big one coming up.
That's a big one. We got a super secret, top secret special guest.
That means they're not confirmed yet.
Hey, if you like what we do, it's a community supported podcast. That means that I want to thank everybody that supports us, that what we're doing, we keep it going by your mercy, by your kindness, by your acts of dana, charity. Oh, and this Sunday, I think we got a special guest with Jeffrey Armstrong, Sanskrit pundit, astrology master, Bhagavatam editor, translator for the Bhagavatam.
And transcendental songwriter.
Jeffrey Armstrong, Kapindra Rishi. Check that out Sunday at 8 o'clock. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. It's time for mangoes. Hey. It's mango and avocado season. Come on, Karuna. You need a new, what do you call this? Filter. New filter, Karuna.